Good morning and welcome to the biggest sports show in West Africa. My name is Samuel Odi and I've got the king of sports himself.
All right, good morning and always a pleasure to be part of Talk Sports.
Yes, and again, good morning viewers. It's Thursday morning, 4th day of April, and we'll be bringing you super, news making the rounds. And again, it's my birthday. Happy birthday. So
yes. So there should be, where's the party after the show?
I'm actually waiting on all of you guys. I'm expecting to see a giant cake on this table, and I'm not seeing any.
Well, we're going to Real Madrid to celebrate the birthday, but happy birthday and many more great things to come. This is just the beginning of greatness.
Amen. Thank you so much, King of Sport. So now we're going to be going deep into the stories making the rounds at this Richard Waddell backs Falcons to break Olympics jinxing. Super Falcons coach Randy Waldon is confident that the Super Eagles will be defeating their counterparts in the match that will be coming on Friday. Waldon is confident that his team will break the jinxing of not qualifying for the Olympics when they face and take on South Africa in the Women's Olympic Football Tournament. African final qualifying playoffs, but also expressed concern over the talent the Banyana have in attack. The Falcons have missed 3 consecutive Olympic Games, London 2012, Rio 2016, and Tokyo 2020, since their last appearance in Beijing 2008. And Waddell adds that his team's focus is on qualifying for Paris, France later this year. 9 times African champion, the Falcons host reigning African champion South Africa for the first leg at the Moshood Abiola National Stadium, Abuja, on Friday, with reverse future billed for Pretoria's Latvia's Arena next Tuesday. Both teams have it into the tie. Both teams head into the tie with a winning streak of 5 games respectively. We are focused on getting to Paris, what they'll say. So,
I think it's going to be a big one. Already, somehow, I don't know, I feel like there's some bit of pressure on the Super Falcons. Like you rightly pointed out, from 2012, 2016, and 2020, Nigeria has missed 3 Olympics in a row. And that's alone puts pressure on the Super Falcons to do what they can to ensure that they win this first leg, because if whatever result they get in Abuja on Friday will determine if they will be on their way to France. Because the truth remains, if you're unable to beat the Banyana, and it's not going to be easy because they're African champions, we must give it to the South African side. If you're unable to beat them well and convincingly in Nigeria, it's going to be very difficult in South Africa, because we know South Africans, we know the rivalry against Nigeria already. We know that the CAF president, Musepe, is from South Africa. Yes, he's an objective man, he's going to be professional, but you cannot take away that human element that the referees will want to be seen to, favor the CAF president, because he decides, to an extent, he decides many things as regards football in Africa, the referees association and all that. So they'll be tilted towards wanting to make South Africa qualify for the Olympics. So Nigeria has to get the job done. Imagine the Super Falcons beating them 4-0 here. It makes the job very easy. When they get to South Africa, just park the bus and we'll be in France. But if we win by 1-0 here or 2-1, there's no guarantee, because you get to South Africa and these girls whip your way out. But I, to an extent, believe that also, Nigeria to be 9-time African champions is no mean feat, and it means they can win the South Africans if only they put their acts together, play to instruction, and also if the coach makes the right selection in terms of the team sheet, if he picks the right players, and also the Falcons need Nigerians to support them.
Yes. You know, looking at the South African side now and the Nigerian side, the Super Falcons, these two teams are coming out head-to-head from 5 wins each, 5 winning streaks. So now, who do you think now? Who, obviously, you're going to be patriotic if I ask you this question. Who do you think is going to win?
If I want to be objective, I would say the best team on that night would win. Okay. The team that wanted more would win. Because football is not about past form, it's based on the current form. So if the Super Falcons on that day are in imperious form, if they bring back their A game that made them 9-time African champions, the South Africans go collect, like we say in Nigeria. But if they're not able to bring back that A game, then we're likely to see probably either a draw or a slim 1-0 victory. But we know that Nigerian girls, they're also fired up. They want to be at the Olympics. They know that Nigeria has not been there since 2012. Wardrobe, as a coach, knows that it's going to be better for him to get to France because he's going to build his CV. It means his market value is going to be on the up. And for the players themselves, they need better deals. And the only way they can get better deals is to be at the Olympics. So they have more to lose. So they would be putting in everything. And I know that the Nigerian Football Federation also they know how keenly the Falcons has to be in France.
Okay, moving on, like just we're saying, Super Falcons, make una no gree, don't gree for anybody. Speaking about no green for anybody, Samuel Osai, who battled a pitch invader back then in March, has been cleared to play. Nigerian international bright Osai Samuel won't be sanctioned by the Turkish Football Federation Disciplinary Council for following a mail that had the defender engage a pitch invader in boxing contest. During the explosive league game between Trabzonspor and Fenerbahce March 17th, the tension stated, flaring in the 87th minute when objects were thrown on the field after managed Bache scored what proved to the visitors the winning visitor of Fenerbahce's defender. Osai was cleared of any offense on Wednesday alongside Batshuayi, while Samuel's coach Emad was banned from the dressing room and bench for 1 match for fighting with a rival player. Osai Samuel's teammate Jordan Oster, Wooden and Aaron Herbert were also handed 1 match ban at the disciplinary hearing of the TFF for fighting with a rival fan. Although a referee was made to our bond due to the act of Osai Samuel fighting with fans of the opposing team. So, you know, is it very fair that he wasn't sanctioned or wasn't given any kind of punishment?
Well, they'll be looking at it from the angle that he did that in self-defense. If he had jumped over the barricade to go to where the fans were and got caught in that melee, then you would say, okay, yes, he was found guilty. But the fans invaded the pitch, not just invading the pitch, they actually wrestled one of the coaches or one of the officials and his teammates down. And so he was playing the role of defending himself and his teammate, and also Fenerbahce as a club itself, because this was an internal investigation done by Fenerbahce, and they will not want to be seen to be, indicting one of their own. But I think that was fair. That was justice done there, because if you punish him, then are you saying he doesn't have the right to self-defense? Because this was an invasion, not like he went over the barricade to go fight a fine. So I think it's a fair deal, and that's what we all expected to be the result at the end of the day.
Yeah, he wasn't just even fighting to defend himself, he was also fighting to defend a police officer who was being attacked by some of those fans. who just smuggled and found their way into the pitch. Okay, moving forward now, Murphy Samuel listed for Murphy and Simon listed for Mark Vivian Foe Award. Super Eagles duo Murphy and Moses Simon will hope to become the 3rd Nigerians to win the Mark Vivian Foe Award for the best African player in the French league, after both of them were nominated for the 2023-2024 honors, which will be presented on May 13th, organized by Radio France International and France 24. The award is named after Cameroonian legend and former Lens and Lyon midfielder Marc-Vivien Foé, who died during the 2003 FIFA Confederation Cup match between Cameroon and Colombia in Lyon on June 26, 2023. Victor Osimhen and former Eagles goalkeeper Vincent Enyeama are the only Nigerians to have won the award that was first handed out in 2009. Murphy's nomination comes following his landmark of 50 goals in League One after scoring in Nice's 2-1 lose at home against Nantes on Sunday. He is leading the club's charge for European football next season with his imperious contribution in front of goal, having scored 10 in 23 appearances and 7 in the league, although Simon's season has been cut short by the injury he picked up in last international break. He has been a crucial player for both Nets and with 3 goals and 6 assists in 22 league games. So, you see, if our Nigerians are out there, you know, making us proud as always. Murphy and Moses Simon are, you know, nominated for.
Yeah, that you can see that Marc-Vivien Foé's award. In 2003, Marc-Vivien Foé was one of those players who suffered cardiac arrest, just like Samuel Okolaji did, and died on the pitch of play. And to honor him, that award is being given out. You could see Murphy has hit the 50-goal mark in the French league. His own main feat. There are only 2 Nigerians who have hit above 50 goals, John Otaka, the attacker, and Victor Ikpeba, who was the Prince of Monaco at a time, were 2 players who have scored more goals than Terry Murphy. It tells you how terrific Murphy is, because Victor Osimhen also did play in the French league. And this award gives you a clue to players that are true stars and who are going to become world superstars, because Victor Osimhen did win it. And at the end, we know where he is right now. And for Terry Murphy and Moses Simon, I think they deserve it. Murphy has been terrific, not just for his team, but also for the national team. And for Moses Simon, we know how important he is for the Super Eagles. So I think any of these 2 that wins it, I think they deserve it. But my heart tells me Murphy is likely to be the player that is going to scoop this award. But I think this, you know, these awards have a way of inspiring players to do more, knowing fully well that there's someone watching out there.
Yes. So we wish Moses Simon and Murphy the best.
The very best.
For, you know, so you all just go out, vote Nigeria and vote Simon or Murphy for them to, you know, get this, you know, this award. Let's go on a short break, and when we'll come back, Talk Sport continues. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Talk Sport on Global Television, one of the biggest sports shows in West Africa. Moving on onto the international scene, Eric Ten Hag pleads for patience from Sir Jim Ratcliffe as he calls for Manchester United co-owner to resist temptation to interrupt the process. What process, actually?
I think
Manchester fan,
I think, I don't know, it's laughable at the same time. To an extent, you want to look at it and say, okay, maybe he's right, maybe he's not right. Okay. Because, for instance, you look at what's happening in Arsenal currently. There was a time when Arteta, during the process of Arteta building Arsenal to where it's now, where they were faltering and losing, especially that season where it looked like they were running away with the Premiership and they just fell apart. The people were at a point almost calling for the sack of Arteta, that they didn't know what he was doing and all that. that he didn't even learn well from Pep Guardiola. But fast forward this new season, we can see that Arsenal is better. They've learned from the mistakes of last season, and they're truly doing well. They're competing in all fronts, for different competitions. But for Ten Hag, the first season was good, so we expected more. Second season became worse. Now, third season is going further down. So it's hard to understand or to say, okay, let's give support to Ten Hag. That he's not good. And for him to be talking to Jim Ratcliffe to be patient, I think he doesn't understand that Ratcliffe's is money. It's Ratcliffe's money. So when it comes to money business, those people are not patient. So there are two things to it. The only way he can tell Ratcliffe to be patient is qualify for the Champions League this season, get within top 4, then probably win the remaining set of matches with very outstanding performances. Then we can begin to say, okay, maybe initial mistakes was what happened, but now you're good to go. But as long as he doesn't qualify for the Champions League, as long as his players get injured and they keep giving these inconsistent performances, then there's a sure feeling that he's going to get sacked. Because a lot of coaches would love to coach Manchester United, especially with the money in the bank now for Manchester United.
Okay, Ten Hag's position will be under threat if United fails to qualify for Champions League. But he vowed to fight to the finish before Thursday's clash with struggling Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. So he wants to use Chelsea now as a
I think there's some...
both struggling. Why is he trying
to... But there's something good about the fixtures Ten Hag has. If he beats Liverpool in Sunday's game, that's going to be a big boost to his CV because he has beaten them in the FA Cup already. If he beats them again in the Premier League, then it means the FA Cup victory wasn't a fluke. If he beats Chelsea, then Ratcliffe might begin to feel, probably probably this man has something upstairs. He doesn't have the right playing staff. So at the end of the season, what Ratcliffe will be looking at, what players do you need to better your performance in the coming season? Then he might agree to splash the cash. But if you don't deliver the goods with the set of players you have, and you're so inconsistent and you lose to teams that you should win, then Ratcliffe will be thinking he is not the man for the job.
Okay. Pochettino is Chelsea's third permanent manager since Todd Boehly became chairman less than 2 years ago, with the club's new owner also overseeing a stringent number of new signings. Asked if Chelsea's situation is a warning to Ratcliffe and United's new co-owner, and Ten Hag said, I think you need to follow the process. We have good young players coming through. They are developing very well in their process. We are in a good way, a good direction, and we need to make next steps. Don't interrupt the process. United need to catch Tottenham and Aston Villa in the race for Champions League after dropping points on their last trip to West London and Brentford last weekend. Ten Hag is refusing to give up the chase, but admits that a crippling injury late this season has distanced their hope. Well, at least he's not giving up like Thomas Tuchel, who has given up already, given the fact that he has...
Thomas Tuchel, I think he sacked himself already for the fact that he already told, he's already making statement to say he has given up. He feels Bayer Leverkusen has already won the Bundesliga already. That was very bad on his part because then he had 7 games to go. He had 21 points to which with 21 points he would have caught up with Bayer Leverkusen, who were just 13 points ahead of him. So he sacked himself technically by that's worse. For Ten Hag, yes, he hasn't given up, but I think Ten Hag's future is not completely in his hands. It's in the hands of his players and Ratcliffe, because if the players continue not to deliver the goods, then he's likely to be sacked. There's no two ways about it.
Do you think Ten Hag has a good relationship with the players?
I don't think so, because right now there are 2 sets of players in Manchester United. Those he brought from Ajax, like Anthony Malakia, who is also injured, Martinez. Those are 3 players who he brought to Manchester United. They will ever be loyal to him. But for the Manchester United squad itself, he had already hurt most club squad members. He offended Cristiano Ronaldo. He offended Jadon Sancho. He offended Harry Maguire, Marcus Rashford. He offended him. And so when you have 4 players you've
Four big players.
you've had issues with in a team. Don't forget, for each player, he has his own circle of friends. So imagine 4 players with different circles. And Cristiano Ronaldo on his own alone would have a larger circle put together. So for those periods he had issues with Cristiano Ronaldo, he had already depleted his squad. Then having Sancho in the mix again, having Rashford in the mix again, then obviously in football we say when a coach loses its dressing room, then he has lost the team. And technically it looks like he has already lost the dressing room.
So he has lost this dressing room, technically from what we are saying, but he's trying to like make it right with the board of directors and see if they are going to back him up.
For instance, the player he brought from Ajax, Anthony, has been having issues. Which has to do with the police investigation and all that. So it's like the players you tell us to invest in, we invested in, they're not even churning out the goods. So everything about him has a question mark.
Question mark. So there's a lot of questions that were asked last night between Manchester City and Aston Villa. A lot of fans were, clamoring and asking questions. Why would Pep Guardiola bench Haaland and Kevin De Bruyne? Now, Pep Guardiola explains why he dropped Man City star Erling Haaland and Kevin De Bruyne to the bench for their win over Aston Villa just days after Roy Keane branded misfiring striker a League Two player. Manchester City star Erling Haaland and Kevin De Bruyne were surprisingly dropped to the bench on Wednesday clash with Aston Villa. Top scorer Haaland had been branded a League Two player after his lackluster display in Sunday's goalless home draw with Arsenal, while Belgium play Kevin De Bruyne has also been blown his best in recent weeks. Jack Grealish and Jimmy Doka replaced them in the starting lineup at the Etihad. So these guys were dropped, and then Phil Foden was like the running man. So do you think there's something more that we don't know? Is it true that Haaland is playing like a League Two player at this point?
Roy Keane, who is a Manchester United legend, did label Erling Haaland as a League Two player because his performance on that day felt like he was a League Two player. He had a glorious chance to put City ahead. He totally miscued it. He didn't have any reason to miscue that, but he did. Then you could tell that once he didn't have access to the defense line, the defense gave him a tough time. He practically just fizzled out. For someone like Pep Guardiola, we know that once you don't deliver the goods in a game and he thinks probably you're getting tired due to fatigue or your mind is not with your body in the game, he usually would drop you. He doesn't care if you're a star. And another method coaches use to get the best out of their star players is drop them to the bench, because they know that players don't like being put in the bench. Once you're put in the bench, that's going to give you that necessary fire to come back with a vengeance. So it's obvious that Kevin De Bruyne and Pep Guardiola has been having issues lately. Last week we saw Kevin De Bruyne arguing with Pep Guardiola when he was substituted, saying he wasn't supposed to be substituted. So it tells you that Kevin De Bruyne, Erling Haaland were put on the bench because they felt, Pep Guardiola felt they didn't deliver the goods in their last outing. So let's see what's going to happen in the coming days. But for the game against Aston Villa, Pep needed to refresh his squad. He had to rotate the team. And Foden has been someone of a very interesting character. He has grown steadily to become a very important player in Man City and also in the Three Lions of England.
So Phil Foden shown his absence of Haaland and De Bruyne scoring a brilliant hat-trick in a 4-1 victory. Manchester City manager Pep Guardiola told TNT the decision to bench both players was part of a plan to manage their minutes in 2.5 days. We have another game. Crystal Palace, the Man City boss said, I think all the team at the top have a big squad, a good squad, and of course we have it. Today, we decided for this lineup, for this tough opening, and we will go for it. So he's trying to say, okay, that is Pep Guardiola was trying to explain the reason why he had to bench these two players. maybe preparing them for
ahead of the clash
and then,
against Crystal Palace.
Crystal Palace, and maybe giving them a rest time. Do you think that's justifiable?
Well, he's the coach. He knows better. He must have seen that against the last game they played, they were burnt out. That was why they couldn't live up to expectations.
Yeah.
And you cannot but agree with him, because these players, they play in different competitions. The Carabao Cup, the Premier League, they play in the Champions League. Some play in the UEFA Europa League. Why? There's also the Nations League they play for. There's World Cup qualifiers going on. And so there are lots of matches these players week in, week out, especially players of important quality like Kevin De Bruyne, very important for the Belgian national team. Belgium has played qualifiers and friendly matches. And so Erling Haaland also has been involved in qualifiers at the international break recently. He was also part of it. So you would understand when the coach feels like, okay, maybe the players are burnt out. That's why they're not bringing their A game. And what the best thing to do is rest them, allow them to get refreshed, and they'll come back with more hunger.
Okay. So now, okay, Phil Foden didn't disappoint last night. Phil Foden justified Pep Guardiola's bold call to bench Erling Hazard and Kevin De Bruyne with stunning hat-trick, right, as Man City 4-1 victory against Aston Villa keeps them in touch with the title rivalries as they turned away from Park View in bitterness of December bruised and well-beaten nobody at Manchester City. Would have recently thought the 24th match unbeaten run was on its way. Equally boldly nobody would have really thought that after such a long stretch without defeat in all competitions, City might find themselves third in the third horse race for Premier League title. But here they are, a funny season where Liverpool and Arsenal have made sizable gain on the Perennial Championship, and who themselves have threatened to motor and then accidentally ease on the brake. A season where Pep Guardiola saw fit to bench not only Haaland but Kevin De Bruyne against opposition who have undoubtedly caused his team the most problems in any individual game. The big call or the last row of the dice. The dice were hot, so too. The dice were hot, so too was Phil Foden. So Phil Foden didn't disappoint. It was a big call that Pep Guardiola had to make. He made it, and then at the end of the night, it paid out well for him. So congratulations to Pep Foden. Congratulations to Pep Guardiola.
Yeah, this is one of the reasons why Pep Guardiola is considered one of the best coaches in the world. He was spot on by dropping Kevin De Bruyne, Erling Haaland, and also deciding to go with Phil Foden as the attack man. Phil Foden has shown over time that he has the killer instinct. He has the skill set to beat his way around defenders, and he knows where the goalpost is. And he's got the energy and the drive, and there's nothing as beautiful as when your coach believes in you. He gives you that needed push, that needed drive to deliver the goods, and that's what Foden did last night. Scoring a hat-trick when your top striker is not there, when Kevin De Bruyne is not there, tells you that this Man City squad is fantastic, and there's still some feeling inside that Man City might still win this English Premier League. Probably Liverpool and Leicester are just pretenders to the throne.
Just pretend. So do you think Man City can find their way all the way top to number one? Yeah,
definitely. All they need to do is just win all their matches going forward, and then pray that other teams will do them a favor by losing. So, but definitely, Man City, the Liverpool, and Arsenal is more like a three-horse race. And at this point in time, whatever mistake you make, whatever match you lose or draw, will decide the fate of
it's a very crucial stage.
Very crucial.
Well, talking about favors, Arsenal are not looking like they want to be giving out any favors recently because they defeated Luton 2-0 last night. Relentless Arsenal hardly shifted out of the second gear as they beat Luton 2-0 to return to the top of the Premier League table.
All right. For Arsenal, I think it's for me. I don't think we should celebrate Arsenal for beating Luton 2-0. Arsenal obviously head up above Luton City. For Arsenal, but this is good for them. It keeps them at breast with whatever Liverpool and Man City are trying to do. So we've got 3 horse race now going on, and the Gunners have shown something this season, that they are even more consistent than last season, and they are willing to go all the hog to win this season's Premier League. So I think one thing that has always gone against Arsenal in the past has been injuries and lack of depth in the squad. But this time around, I think they have it. And recently we hear Arsenal still going out for more players to reinforce their team ahead of next season.
Okay. Moving on now, we're talking Chelsea. Chelsea defender Conor Gallagher, after the Premier League starts, Instagram was flooded with comments calling him a racist over a video clip appearing to show him ignoring a black mascot. Chelsea has condemned it completely an unacceptable abuse of Gallagher following the footage of the England international in a tunnel with a young mascot before the bowling game. Gallagher has been hound on social media ever since because of the captain's accidentally blacked a high five from the youngster, which led to the asset of the 24-year-old racism that is, despite the entire clip showing Gallagher greeting him foreheaded and walking out of the tunnel alongside the champion as Chelsea went to draw 2-2 with Burnley at Stamford Bridge. But you can see the image on the screen there, him not even looking away. Is this enough reason for him to be labeled as a racist?
Well, I think, one thing, it's fair for people to, or it's easy for people to criticize from the outside when you're not inside. Because right now, at that time, when they were about stepping out onto the pitch for that battle, his mindset is focused on the game he's going for. His mindset is thinking about the task the coach has given him to do on the pitch of play. And then
he was a captain for the match.
And so whatever he was doing, his mind was somewhere. He might be seeing the guy, but not even understanding the hands up there was standing in for a high five. Most times when people, that's why we talk about mental health challenges, sometimes you might be staring at something, but your mind is completely somewhere else. So I think it's unfair for them. He has not had any prior history or record from the police to suggest he had anything that has to do with discrimination or racism. So I think it's unfair for them to label him that way. But for the youngster who actually wanted to give him a high five, yes, it could be painful when you see a star or role model and you want to identify with him and he shuns you. It could really hurt. So I expect him, Gallagher, to come out somewhere along the line, identify the kid, pay him a visit, give him a high five, give him everything, and let him bring it back to the press.
Just go get him a signed jersey and on. Just take everything out of the media. Change the narrative.
The narrative, too.
So Chelsea were quick to react, and then they kind of frowned at it. Is that good for other? Is that something other clubs to adapt? Because mostly, not just in the Premiership, even in the La Liga, it tends to, mostly this guy has suffered a lot.
Vinicius Junior, yes.
Vinicius Junior has suffered a lot, and he's always, if he's on the media for just one singular fact that someone is being racist towards him. So is it something that other, clubs should adopt and then frown at immediately if it's
I think we must give kudos to the English Premier League club sides. Already we know the taking a knee has been part of the English Premier League, which is meant to bring to the fore and consciousness of people the issue of racism. And so I think the clubs are already doing that, but some clubs show more passion and more interest in ensuring that this racism is killed once and for all. So I think more clubs have to do. For Chelsea, Chelsea is a big brand, so they should not be involved in things that remotely even suggest they're a racist club. Because we've seen that Chelsea is one of the only teams in the English Premier League that they bring in lots of black players. Talking about racism, it will be unfair to label. That's not to say everybody in Chelsea They are not persons who have that, attitude. But for Chelsea, I think it's a brand that needs to be protected against such things as racism.
The former Spanish FA president, Luis Rebel, is on the news again, and we'll just go on a short break. When we come back, we'll be bringing you the big story of the major reason why he's on the news. I know you're wondering if it's kiss scandal or not, but we'll be right back. Disgraced ex-Spanish FA president Luis Rebel is arrested at the airport tarmac as he flees back from the Dominican Republic to face corruption questions while at risk of jail over World Cup Kissgate. Kissgate scandal. Former Spanish FA boss Luis Rebel was arrested by police on Wednesday after being escorted off a flight back to Madrid from Caribbean. Detectives were waiting for him as he stepped off an Air Europlane from Dominican Republic, which landed in Madrid's Bajés Airport just before 11 a.m. local time. He was taken to an airport police station and read his rights before being told he was under investigation as part of an ongoing corruption probe related to the unwanted kiss he gave the footballer Ginny Hampshire following Spanish Women's World Cup Women's final win against England last August. Police confirmed he had been released just after 1:30 ahead of an expected court summons where he will be questioned by a judge behind closed doors. The corruption probe is linked to an alleged financial irregularities during his time as head of Spanish FA and focuses on business and deals throughout to include one to hold the Spanish Super Cup in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, I think from one frying pan to fire, I think that's he's really in a mess. But thank God he was released. But it just tells you that as sports persons, especially football federations across the world, they seem to always get involved with corruption, things that make the government come after them. We've seen that happen to Michel Platini. FIFA officials, UEFA officials have gone through this same route that Rubiales is going through. But I think for him, I pity him because first of all, it was the Kissgate, but now his arrest recently is not about the Kissgate now, but also talking about financial infractions. So it means he has lots to deal with. And also, we know that there's a push for him to be prosecuted, to be given 2-year jail sentence. So it looks like everything is going south for him. If he was in Nigeria, we would say pray more, do some fasting and prayers, and then probably he might be safe. But on the flip side, it just tells you that corruption in the football industry is real and needs to be stamped out with everything we've got inside of us.
Yes, talking about also now. Why? Well, my question is, why wasn't he, arrested or prosecuted when he was still in office? Does that mean that he's untouchable?
No, like after he was suspended, he had to leave office. He went, like you could see, he went to Dominican Republic, where obviously he went for holidays. And once you don't have a treaty to arrest someone in the country, different countries have different laws. And obviously he went there to, of course, have fun and also evade any form of arrest because they didn't have the right. They only arrested him because he had landed in Madrid, in Spain, and because there the laws would hold him responsible. But over there, the laws cannot apply there. So, you know, Dominican Republic is a place for chilling. When you've made the money, you go there, you relax. So their laws are meant to protect tourists and holiday makers. So obviously, but I know for sure he knew something was cooking, but he had to go back home.
He had to go back home, and going back home into the handcuffs of his beloved country's policemen. Moving on, we are going to the world of boxing now. Joshua's next opponent, linked. Anthony Joshua will not be fighting Tyson Fury or Alexander Usyk next, according to his good friend, Derek Chisora. Former two-time world champion Joshua was promised a shot at the undisputed world title following his brutal KO win against Francis Ngannou last month. Fury and Usyk's fight for all 4 weight belts next month, and their fight has two-way rematch clause, meaning they will likely meet again later this year. Regardless of the results, Pimberry Promotion hosts a Wembley Stadium event later this year, and Chisora claims Joshua will be headlining the card. He will fight the winner of Daniel Dubois and Philip Hodges in Wembley. So when he spelled all of this, the next thing he went further to say is, I've got a big mouth, that the plan is going to be sick, a little adventure for Tory. Like, is this actually, you know, something that we should be looking forward to? We are all expecting, you know, Anthony Joshua to either face Tyson Fury or Usyk, but now this report's coming out and saying he might not be facing any of them. Like, how does that?
Well, you know, the boxing community, you have to win one big fight to stand a chance to fight another, you know, a big fight. But for Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury, definitely that fight is going to come, but not in 2024. Most likely it's going to be in 2025, probably the end of 2025, because first of all, if Fury and Alexander Usyk meet, the clause says they have 2 fights in between. So it means if Tyson beats Alexander,
there has to be a rematch.
And if either way, both parties have a shot, an extra shot. And those fights cannot all happen in 1 year. So there's a possibility even in 2025, we might not even see Anthony Joshua take on Tyson Fury, because by the time they do back-to-back fights, and like we saw what happened in the last fight, where during sparring process, Tyson Fury caught his eye, and because of that, that fight was now suspended. And so if any of these fighters have injuries next year, it means it's going to be in 2026. And so that fight, it's just that it's going to come, but we hope that by the time it comes eventually, boxing fans will still be excited about it, because if not, if new champions emerge by the end of this year or next year, then that fight might just be history.
Okay, the fight might just be history. You know, and again, we have another up-and-coming Nigerian boxer who will be fighting
Wahab.
Wahab
on that card of the Tyson Fury and talking about this man, Alexander Usyk. I think that's a good one for Wahab, who is the African champion in the Rumble match. And it's going to give him the publicity he needs. It's going to give him that feeling of, yes, being in the boxing arena. And the truth is he's going to watch Tyson Fury and Alexander Usyk square up. And that's going to be a motivation for him. And he's going to be looking at these boxers and say, okay, someday I'm going to be the one fighting for the heavyweight division, and so it's going to be a very big one. His boxers, his coaching crew, they're all going to learn or get something from this experience. And the market value of Wahab definitely is going to be different. The experience he has gotten is going to embody him when he comes back to Africa to fight, because he's been to a bigger audience. He's got the publicity he needs. So more fights are going to come his way.
More fights are definitely going to come his way. It's exciting. Wahab Olusegun is actually the African champion in the boxing ring. So now we'll be moving on to basketball, where last night, there were a lot of actions last night, where Boston Celtics took on Oklahoma Oklahoma City Thunder, and then Boston Celtics, came up with the win. And then Hornets Charlotte took on Portland Blazers, and then Blazers took on with the win Brooklyn Nets, Indiana Pacers, and then Brooklyn Nets defended home court, and then they got the win. Playoffs, NBA playoffs is around the corner, which is set to kick off this month on the 4th of April, 2024. So the way playoff works, the top 6 teams from each conference, that is from the West and from the East, will be assured playoff spots, while team number 7 to 10 in the standing will enter the play-in tournament from April 16 to April 19. 2 teams in each conference will then emerge to fill out the 8 teams field, which is the first round of the playoffs starting April. So I know you're not a super basketball fan, but I know you know LeBron James.
Yeah, I'm a fan of basketball, even though I might not follow it consistently like I used to do in the past. But we know the playoffs, the Western Conference and Eastern Conference, is always a very titanic battle amongst the different teams there. But we know that there are traditional teams that always seem to always emerge from this conferences. And over time, it's always who wants it the most. Basketball is quite different from football and other games. You might be leading in the first quarter, second quarter you're losing, third quarter you're winning again, fourth quarter everything turns around, and there's also this buzzer shot. The teams that usually pick or nick games are teams that have got fantastic three-point shooters. And if you have extraordinary star players like LeBron James, Steve Curry, then you can have teams get things turned around in a swift second. And so I think this season is going to be very interesting because the matchup is going to be there. Yes, in the past, they were like last season and previous seasons. There was this gulf of difference between teams because of the star players they had. But recently, it looks like other teams are also closing up. It looks like everybody's going to have a level playing field to stake a claim for the playoffs.
Yes, so the playoffs is actually going to be kicking off on the April 20th. And, it has been tough. There are a whole lot of up-and-coming
star players.
Anthony Edwards, Jason Tatum, all of them. Our very own Giannis Antetokounmpo, who sadly we lost him to Greece. He's playing for Greece national team.
Well, I think I feel I have to hold Giannis' parents responsible. Yeah, because they had every advantage to make him play for the Tigers of Nigeria. Yeah. But at the same time, you also have to look at the flip side.
His brothers, all of them are all playing in
Greece. Then you have to also look at the flip side, the fact that he is of better market value playing for the Greece national team than for Nigeria. And so, but obviously the fact that he does not deny his African and Nigerian roots is a plus for Nigeria. But it tells you that more needs to be done when it comes to basketball in Nigeria. The basketball family in Nigeria are not united. The fight between Kida and Cole has continued to fester, and that has led to Nigeria losing out. The last time, we remember how the MBBF said the Tigers were not going for competition. Barely 24 hours later, they said they're going. They got there, they got whooped. But all the teams, Uganda, it was
lack of preparation.
It's the back and forth. And so it's a very sad commentary. And we hope things will be resolved so that Nigeria basketball and players, both at home and in the diaspora, can come back home.
Talking about NBA still, so later tonight, Dallas Mavericks will be taking on Atlantic Hawks. Miami Heat will be taking on Philadelphia Sixers. New York Knicks will be taking on Sacramento Kings. Houston Rockets will be taking on Golden State Warriors.
I think the Golden States are going to nick that one, obviously.
Yes, obviously. Stephen Curry.
The other matchup, we have Milwaukee Bucks.
Milwaukee Bucks.
They're taking on...
Milwaukee Bucks will be taking on... that will be tomorrow. Milwaukee Bucks will be taking on Lakers. So
who is at home?
Bucks are at home.
I think there's, since the death of Kobe Bryant and Shaquille O'Neal, Lakers have always been a traditional team that do well. And
Yes.
I still believe they have what it takes to surprise Milwaukee Bucks.
Yeah, they do have what it takes because obviously they have the almighty LeBron James, they have Anthony Davis. LeBron James is actually going to be turning, he's actually 39.
Right.
He's the same age as Ronaldo, and they are not willing to retire.
I think
These guys want to play with their kids.
I think
That's what they're clamoring for.
That's LeBron James's dream. He said he wants to play
Yes,
the B-ball with his son, which is impossible. Which is not impossible, I beg your pardon, because he's extraordinary. He's one of the greatest of all time, just like the eras of Michael Jordan. He's one person that's kept Lakers afloat, and so we believe he can. He has the skill set, he has the determination, and he has been doing it season after season.
In his words, LeBron James said this is his prime time at 39.
So
he dunks, catches alley-oop, and does all of that.
He tells you this man ain't going nowhere.
He's not going nowhere. So just give us a last, because this is how much time.
For me, I think fans here yesterday expressed their worries as regards the readiness of the Super Falcons to take on the Bayana based on what the news we got from their handle as regards players in camp. But the Nigerian Football Federation have come out to douse that tension, and we hope that the Super Falcons, knowing what it means to Nigeria since 2012 not being at the Olympics, will do everything necessary to beat the Bayana. Bayana are the African champions, so we must take them seriously.
Yes, they are the African champions, and they actually need to take them very, very seriously. And that's how much time will permit us to take today on TalkSport. And see you tomorrow, same time, same station, as we bring you more top stories from the world of sports. Good morning.
All right, good morning.